You know the drill, right? You get home from the grocery store, and the first thing you do is cram everything into the fridge. I mean, it just seems like the safest place for all our food, the absolute best way to keep it fresh. But what if I told you we've been getting it completely wrong with some of our favorite foods? Yeah, you heard that right. It turns out that for a whole bunch of the things we eat all the time, the cold, dry air of the refrigerator isn't a safe haven. Oh no, it's a total flavor killer, a texture saboteur, and as we're about to find out, it can even kick off some pretty nasty chemical reactions. So let's dive into this. We're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at how the cold just destroys flavor. Then we'll get into some surprising and honestly kind of scary chemical changes. And finally, we'll crown the true champions of your countertop. Okay, first up, flavor and ripeness. For a lot of fruits, that cold blast from the fridge brings their natural ripening process to a screeching halt. Why? Because the cold basically shuts down the tiny little enzymes, think of them as nature's flavor factories, that are working hard to create that perfect taste and texture we love. And the number one victim of this crime? The tomato. Seriously, putting a tomato in the fridge is a culinary tragedy. The cold actually damages the delicate membranes inside, which is what turns that juicy, vibrant texture into something, well, mealy and bland. And get this, it can even lower its level of lycopene, which is a really powerful antioxidant. The fridge is basically a ripening roadblock. Just think about avocados and bananas for a second. They need to ripen after they're picked, and that wonderful, delicious magic only happens at room temperature. The cold just presses pause on that whole process, leaving you with a rock-hard avocado or a banana that just never gets sweet.
And they are not alone in their suffering. Uncut melons, they lose their bright flavor and a ton of their natural sugars in the cold. And with bananas, you get that super weird thing where the cold breaks down the cell walls in the peel, turning it all black and gross, while the inside is still starchy and underripe. It's the worst of both worlds.
But hey, this isn't just about disappointing flavor. For some foods, the cold can trigger some really unwanted chemical reactions, and this is where things start to get a little more serious. And our main culprit for this is something we all have in our kitchens, the potato. It seems so simple, so harmless, right? Well, its chemistry has a bit of a dark side when you stick it in the fridge. Just look at this. When a potato is chilling in a cool, dark pantry, its starch is stable. It stays starch. But pop it in the fridge and the cold starts converting that starch into sugar. Now, this doesn't just make your potato taste weirdly sweet and gritty. It leads to a much, much bigger problem when you go to cook it. And here's the kicker. When those new sugars are cooked at high temperatures, we're talking frying, roasting, baking, they can form a chemical called acrylamide. And acrylamide is a potential carcinogen. So all of a sudden, keeping potatoes in the pantry isn't just a flavor tip anymore. It's a safety issue. All right, so beyond flavor and these scary chemicals, the fridge itself can be a total trap. That combination of cold and moisture can create the perfect storm for ruining texture and, believe it or not, actually making some foods spoil faster. Let's bust a massive myth right now. Putting bread in the fridge to keep it fresh does the exact opposite. It's a disaster for bread. The cold, damp air actually speeds up a process called starch crystallization, which is just a sciencey way of saying it makes the bread get dry, tough, and stale way faster than it would on your counter. And the list of victims just keeps on growing. That moisture in the fridge, it turns your firm onions into mushy, moldy messes. It tells your garlic, hey, now's a great time to sprout. The cold makes your beautiful, smooth honey crystallize into a gritty, solid block. And with olive oil, it can cause condensation inside the bottle, which can eventually lead to mold. Yikes. Okay. After all that doom and gloom, you're probably wondering, so what am I supposed to do? Well, don't worry. Let's lay out the simple new rulebook for your kitchen. And here it is. This is your new cheat sheet. Go ahead, take a screenshot of this. Tomatoes stay on the countertop to keep all that amazing flavor. Potatoes go in a cool, dark pantry to avoid that whole acrylamide risk. Onions and garlic, they need to be at room temp with good airflow. Your bread, it belongs in a bread box, or if you need to keep it for a while, the freezer. And your honey stays perfectly liquid and smooth right there in the pantry. Simple. Following these easy rules means you're going to have better flavor, way better texture, and safer food. It really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, if we've been getting something so basic wrong for so long, what other kitchen rules are just waiting to be broken?